I never thought something so unexpected could happen in front of everyone, but it did. I could feel the pulse of the music vibrating through the floor as I took a sip of my drink, trying to push aside the growing unease that had started to creep up on me. The bar was packed with laughter, clinking glasses, and people just enjoying their Friday night. But something was off. I didn't know it yet, but this night would be the start of everything changing. Jason, my husband, was sitting next to me, his usual grin plastered across his face as he talked to Mark, our longtime friend. They were talking about something, probably sports or business, but their conversation felt forced. My husband's usual charm had been replaced with an odd tension, one I couldn't quite place. Then it happened. Mark said something that made Jason's smile falter. I saw Jason's eyes narrow, a look I knew too well. It was the same look he had when he was frustrated but didn't want anyone to know. Mark was laughing, trying to make light of it, but Jason's mood had changed in an instant. I felt the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Something was brewing beneath the surface, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was witnessing something I wasn't supposed to see. "Everything okay?" I asked, my voice barely cutting through the noise of the crowd. Jason didn't answer right away, his jaw tightening. Instead, he turned toward me, trying to smile. But I could see it in his eyes. Something was off, and I had no idea how deep this was going to go. The bar was typical for Chicago. Dimly lit, crowded, with a mix of old and new. The buzz of conversation filled the air, with the faint smell of whiskey and cheap perfume floating through the room. The walls were lined with old rock band posters, a nod to its once glorious past, now overshadowed by the trendy crowd it catered to. It was the perfect place for a Friday night out with friends. I loved coming here. Loved the way the people felt so alive, like we were all part of something bigger, even if just for a few hours. But tonight was different. Jason, ever the social butterfly, was chatting away with Mark, but his usual charisma seemed forced. Mark, on the other hand, was the life of the party, cracking jokes, laughing loudly, and making everyone feel comfortable. But it wasn't lost on me, the tension between them. It was subtle, just enough for me to pick up on, but it was there. I tried to focus on the drink in front of me, swirling the ice in my glass and taking small sips. But the more I watched them, the more I could feel the growing rift. Mark seemed completely oblivious to it, but Jason was keeping something from me. And I couldn't help but wonder, what was it? I shifted in my seat, uncomfortable, but didn't say anything. Jason's hand brushed against mine briefly, a small gesture, but it felt cold, not the warmth I was used to. It's like the walls around him were slowly closing in and I had no idea what was happening behind them. As the night wore on, the tension grew thicker. Jason and Mark were no longer laughing and joking like before. Their words became clipped, their body language closed off. The casual atmosphere that had once enveloped us seemed to evaporate as I sat there, more and more uncomfortable. "Mark, what's going on with you and Jason?" I finally blurted out, hoping to lighten the mood. Jason's eyes shot up at me, but Mark, ever the smooth talker, brushed it off with a laugh. "What are you talking about? We're just catching up. Long time no see." But I wasn't convinced. The way Jason shifted uncomfortably in his seat told me everything. He wasn't enjoying this. Not at all. A few minutes later, things took a sudden turn. Mark, still laughing, said something that set Jason off. It wasn't loud, but it was enough to change the energy in the room. "I'm just saying, man," he said, shrugging. "We were just having a good time before all this started." Jason's face darkened immediately. "Don't even start, Mark," he muttered, his tone low, cold. Mark chuckled at first, not picking up on the warning signs, but Jason wasn't laughing anymore. His fists clenched at his sides, his jaw tightened. That's when I knew something was about to go down. "Jason, what's going on?" I asked, my voice a little too loud in the sudden tension. But Jason didn't answer. Instead, he turned toward me, trying to smile. But I could see it in his eyes. Something was off, and I had no idea how deep this was going to go. My heart raced as I watched Jason disappear into the crowd, leaving me alone with Mark. I glanced around, trying to process what had just happened. Mark's expression had shifted too. His usual easygoing demeanor was gone, replaced by something that made me uneasy. "Is everything okay?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. Mark didn't answer immediately. He looked around, as if checking to see if anyone else had noticed Jason's exit. Finally, he looked at me. "I don't know," he muttered, his voice quieter. "Something's not right with him, but I didn't think it would get this bad." I blinked, not sure what to make of that. "What's going on with you two?" Mark didn't answer at first. Instead, he looked at me with a strange intensity, like he was trying to decide whether to tell me the truth. Finally, he spoke, his voice quieter. "There's stuff you don't know. Stuff Jason has been hiding." I leaned forward, my heart pounding. "What do you mean? What is he hiding?" Mark shook his head, his hand running through his hair nervously. "It's not my place to say, but be careful, Lucy. You're not getting the full story. Jason is not the man you think he is." The words hit me like a ton of bricks. "What are you talking about?" I whispered. Mark sighed deeply, his face pale. "You need to talk to him, and you need to do it soon." Before I could respond, Mark stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. "I've had enough of this. Don't let him fool you, Lucy. Don't trust him." And just like that, he was gone, leaving me alone in a sea of confusion, trying to piece together everything I had just heard. I sat there, staring at the empty space Mark had just vacated. His words echoed in my mind. Don't trust him. What had Mark meant by that? What was Jason hiding from me? Why hadn't he come back to explain himself? I grabbed one from the table, my fingers shaking as I dialed Jason's number, but it went straight to voicemail. Again. Panic began to set in. My mind raced with questions, each one more terrifying than the last. What was Jason involved in? What kind of secrets was he keeping? Why hadn't he come back to explain himself? I looked around the bar, but the lively chatter of the crowd felt distant. Nothing seemed real anymore. Mark's cryptic warning, Jason's strange behavior, it was all too much. I stood up, feeling the weight of the night pressing down on me. The bright lights of the bar, the laughter, the clinking of glasses, it all felt so far away, like I was in a dream I couldn't wake up from. Jason's actions made no sense. And the worst part is, I didn't know who to trust anymore. I couldn't believe my eyes when I found the message on his phone. It was the morning after everything went down at the bar. The hangover was hitting harder than I expected, my head pounding with each pulse of blood. Jason wasn't home, and I felt the void in the apartment more than ever. The empty space where he should have been felt like a glaring absence. Something wasn't right. The moment I woke up, the unease that had kept me up all night surged back. I hadn't heard from Jason. His side of the bed was untouched, his clothes still neatly folded in the corner. Something about the stillness in the apartment made everything feel wrong. I tried calling him again, and again, and again, but he didn't pick up. The more I dialed, the more I started to panic. I couldn't shake the feeling that Jason had fallen into a dark pit, one I was completely unaware of. Then, as I paced the living room, my phone buzzed. It wasn't Jason, but something that made my stomach twist. A text from Mark. "It's done, but the consequences are real." The words hit me like a cold splash of water. What did that mean? What had Mark done? What was Jason involved in? My mind raced. Could Mark be referring to the fight? Or was this about something far worse? I sank down onto the couch, my legs giving out beneath me. My head spun, and for a moment, everything felt like it was closing in. Jason's absence, the cryptic message from Mark, it all felt like some sort of nightmare I couldn't escape. I held the phone in my hand, staring at the message. It's done, but the consequences are real. What did Mark mean by that? Did Jason do something that had finally caught up with him? Was that why he was avoiding me? Why wasn't he here to explain? I needed answers, but I wasn't sure I was ready for the truth. I went to the kitchen, the cold tile beneath my feet grounding me for a moment, trying to steady my breath. The silence in the apartment seemed louder now, more oppressive. I reached for the phone again, dialing Jason's number once more. It rang 3 times before going to voicemail. "Jason, where are you? Please pick up." But nothing. The message mark sent weighed heavily on my chest. My fingers shook as I scrolled through the text, my thumb hovering over the reply button. I wanted to scream at him, ask what was going on, demand answers, but I didn't. Instead, I put the phone down and sat in silence, my thoughts racing. I had always trusted Jason, trusted him more than anything. But now? Now I didn't know who he was anymore. And that terrified me. I could feel the tension building in my chest as I stared at the phone, the message blinking on the screen, like an unanswered question. I needed to find out more. This couldn't be happening, not to us, not to our life. I grabbed my bag, feeling the weight of the situation growing heavier with every passing minute. I knew I had to leave the apartment to clear my head. The first stop? Jason's office. I walked out into the crisp Chicago morning air, the cool breeze doing little to calm my nerves. The streets were busy, people walking past me with their heads down, focused on their own lives. I envied them. They were living their lives, not caught up in a mess I hadn't created. As I approached Jason's office building, my thoughts raced. I wasn't sure what I would find, but I had to try. If Jason wasn't answering his phone, maybe someone else would know where he was. The receptionist at the front desk greeted me with a smile. "Can I help you, Miss Wells?" "Is Jason here?" I asked, my voice barely steady. Her smile faltered slightly. "Oh, he's not in today. He left a few hours ago." "Is everything all right?" My stomach dropped. If Jason wasn't at the office, then where was he? "Do you know where he went?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. The receptionist shook her head, her expression apologetic. "Sorry, I don't. He said something about an appointment, but he didn't give me any details." I thanked her and walked away, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on me harder. Where had he gone? And why wouldn't he tell me? I stepped into a nearby cafe, hoping to get a grip on myself. I ordered coffee, but barely touched it. My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't a message from Mark, it was an unknown number. My heart skipped a beat. I hesitated, but curiosity won out. I pressed accept. "Hello," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Is this Lucy Wells?" a woman's voice asked, smooth and professional. "Yes, who's this?" My mind was racing, but I tried to keep my composure. "This is Bethany. I'm a business associate of Jason's. I need to speak with him. Can you tell me where he is?" Bethany. I didn't recognize the name. My stomach churned. "I haven't heard from him all morning. Do you know where he went?" There was a brief silence on the other end of the line before Bethany spoke again, her tone cold. "I'm afraid I can't share that information, but when you speak to him, tell him we need to discuss the next steps in his business dealings. This is urgent." I felt my pulse quicken. Business dealings? Was she talking about his business with Mark? What was really going on behind the scenes? "Wait, I started, but..." Before I could finish, the line went dead. My heart pounded in my chest as I sat there, the phone still pressed to my ear. What the hell was happening? I slowly hung up the phone, my mind spinning. Bethany's words echoed in my ears. Tell him we need to discuss the next steps. What kind of business dealings were they involved in, and why wouldn't Jason tell me about them? I looked around the cafe, but everything felt out of focus. I was losing control and the fear started to creep in. What had Jason been hiding from me all this time? I stood up, feeling nauseous. My hands were trembling as I gripped my bag tightly, trying to ground myself. I had to find him. I couldn't just sit here and wait for the pieces to fall apart. I dialed Jason's number one more time, the ringing echoing in my head. Click, straight to voicemail again. I was left in the quiet chaos of my thoughts. Where was he? What was going on? And why couldn't he just tell me the truth? If you're feeling just as lost as Lucy trying to put the pieces together, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what happens next. This story is far from over.
I was speechless when I found out the truth about Jason. What he had done to me, to us, was far worse than I imagined. I thought I had a good sense of what Jason was hiding. I thought I knew the man I had married, the man I had trusted with my life. But the truth? The truth shattered everything I thought I knew about him. I stood in front of Amanda, my best friend, trying to hold myself together, but I could feel the weight of the past few days pressing on me. Mark's cryptic messages, Jason's strange behavior, and the silence that had been growing between us. I hadn't told Amanda about the phone call with Bethany, but now it seemed like I had no choice. I sat down across from her, the words spilling out before I could stop them. Something's going on with Jason. I don't know what it is, but I need to know what's really happening. He's keeping secrets, Amanda. Amanda looked at me with concern, her brow furrowing. What kind of secrets? What's going on? I took a deep breath. He's been acting weird. He's distant. He's not answering my calls. And when he does, it's like he's lying. There's something about his business that doesn't add up. Amanda's eyes widened. What business? What are you talking about? I hesitated, my mind racing. Mark? He said Jason's been hiding something. And now there's this woman, Bethany, who called me this morning. She's some kind of business partner, but she wouldn't tell me anything, just that I should tell Jason that they need to talk about the next steps. Amanda's face darkened as I spoke, her lips pressed together in a tight line. That's a lot to take in. Amanda and I were sitting at our usual spot, a cozy cafe by Lake Michigan, the perfect place to have the kind of heart-to-heart I had been putting off for weeks. It was quieter today, the kind of silence that made you feel like you could finally breathe again. But no matter how much I wanted to relax, the weight of what I was hearing from Amanda made it impossible. She took a sip of her coffee, her gaze thoughtful. You're telling me Mark warned you about Jason? What exactly did he say? I rubbed my temples, trying to shake off the headache that had been building all morning. He said Jason was involved in something dangerous, something with Mark, but he wouldn't explain what that meant, not fully. And then there's this business thing with Bethany. I don't know what to make of it. Amanda's face darkened as I spoke, her lips pressed together in a tight line. That's a lot to take in. Amanda wanted to warn me about Jason, but now I realized that it wasn't just about him anymore. She had seen something or heard something that scared her enough to warn me about it. My thoughts raced as I tried to piece together everything I knew about him. There were whispers, rumors, things he had never told me. Things I never thought to question. I looked at Amanda, her expression sympathetic but firm. I'm scared, Amanda. I'm scared that I'll find out things about Jason that I can't fix. What if he's not the man I thought he was? She squeezed my hand reassuringly. You need to confront him, Lucy. Don't let this eat you alive. You have to ask him the tough questions. No more secrets, no more lies. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. I know. I've been avoiding it. I thought if I just gave him space, he would come around. But now I think I'm the one who's been fooling myself. Amanda took a deep breath, her eyes scanning the cafe as if she were searching for the right words. I think there's something Jason hasn't told you. Something big, and it's been eating away at him probably for months. But you won't get the truth unless you ask for it, Lucy. You deserve that much. I felt the weight of her words. It was hard to believe Jason could be keeping something that deep from me, but Amanda's warning kept echoing in my mind. He's hiding something, Lucy. Something big. But what? And why couldn't I just let it go? Why did I need to know the truth so badly? I need to talk to him, I said quietly, my voice shaking slightly. I can't let him keep me in the dark anymore. Then do it, Amanda urged. You don't owe him anything. You owe yourself the truth. I didn't know what to expect when I walked into our apartment that night. Jason wasn't home yet, but I wasn't going to wait around any longer. I had had enough of waiting for answers that never came. This time, I was going to find out what was really going on. I sat down at the kitchen table, my thoughts racing. The apartment felt emptier than usual. Jason's absence wasn't just physical, it was like a void had opened up between us, and I didn't know how to fill it. I grabbed my phone, staring at the screen for a moment before I made the call. It was time to confront him. I needed to hear the truth from his lips. The phone rang twice before it picked up. Jason's voice sounded strained, like he was caught off guard. Lucy? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, but failing to. Where are you? I need to talk to you. There was a long pause and then, I'm at the office. I'll be home soon. We can talk then. I felt my heart drop. Home soon. He wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. He didn't want to talk. Jason, no more games. I'm not waiting for you. I need answers. Now. What's going on? My voice was firm, but inside, I was falling apart. He hesitated before replying, his voice barely audible. I'll be there soon, I promise. Just give me a little more time. But time wasn't something I had anymore. I hung up the phone, my hands shaking. He wasn't coming back. He had already made that clear. And somehow, I had known it all along. Jason arrived home later that night, but I wasn't ready for what happened next. As soon as he walked through the door, the coldness in his eyes told me everything I needed to know. He wasn't the man I had married anymore. He stood there frozen for a moment before he sighed and dropped his keys on the counter. Lucy, I didn't want to hurt you, but I didn't know how to tell you the truth. I didn't think you'd understand. My heart raced and I stepped forward, not sure what I was hoping for. Tell me what's going on. He swallowed hard before replying, There's more, a lot more than you think. And it's not just about me anymore. It's about both of us. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. What was he talking about? And who else was involved? His next words hit me like a punch to the gut. Mark was just the beginning. Lucy, there's something else you need to know. You won't believe what happens next. If you want to know the shocking truth behind Jason's secrets, hit that subscribe button now. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. This story is far from over.
You're just imagining things, Jason said. But I knew, deep down, it was more than that. I had always known Jason to be someone who could talk his way out of anything. Charming, witty, and always the one who kept things light. He was the one who always knew how to calm me down. But tonight, something was different. His words were heavy, weighted with something I couldn't quite place. We stood there, facing each other in our apartment, a place that had once been full of laughter and love. Now it felt like a battleground. I needed answers. No more half-truths, no more dancing around the truth. But the more I asked, the more Jason pushed back. His usual calm demeanor was gone, replaced with defensiveness and anger. You don't understand, he muttered, rubbing his temples. I didn't want this to happen. I could see it in his eyes. There was something he wasn't telling me, something he had been hiding from me, and I could feel the walls closing in. You don't get it, do you? I pressed, my voice shaking with frustration. You think I can just ignore this? I'm not blind, Jason. Something's wrong, and I need you to tell me what's really going on. Jason's silence was deafening as he stared at me, his jaw tight.
He had been avoiding this conversation for days, but now that it was here, it felt like the air between us had thickened, suffocating any possibility of reconciliation. "I've told you everything," he muttered, but there was no conviction in his voice. I could feel the pit in my stomach deepen, my patience running thin. "No, Jason, you haven't told me anything," I spat. "All this time, all these little pieces, and you've kept me in the dark, pretending everything's fine. But it's not fine." He shook his head, trying to retreat into himself, but I wasn't having it. I stepped closer, my voice growing louder with every word. "What were you doing at that bar with Mark? What happened between you two? Why was he so angry? You weren't telling me the full story, were you?" His eyes darted away, guilt flashing across his face for just a moment, but it was enough. I had seen it, and now I couldn't unsee it. "I didn't want to hurt you," he said quietly, his voice softening, "but I've been doing things I'm not proud of." I crossed my arms, trying to hold myself together as his words began to unravel everything I thought I knew about him. "What are you talking about, Jason? What could possibly be worse than what you've already done? What's more dangerous than all of this?" Jason's face hardened, and for the first time, I saw him break. "I got involved in something, Lucy, with Mark, something I shouldn't have. It's not just business anymore, it's bigger than that." My chest tightened, a chill running through me. This wasn't the Jason I knew. This wasn't the man I married. "Jason, what the hell are you talking about?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He took a deep breath, looking me dead in the eyes. "Money laundering," he admitted, the words falling from his lips like lead. "Through Mark's gambling operations. I didn't think it would get this far, but it has. I'm in too deep now." I froze. Money laundering? My mind raced, trying to process the gravity of what Jason had just said. Was this really happening? "You're involved in illegal activities?" I whispered, disbelief clouding my vision. "You've been lying to me all this time?" He nodded, his eyes clouded with guilt. "I never meant it to go this far, Lucy, but it did, and now I can't get out. Mark won't let me." The room felt suffocating as Jason's words hung in the air between us. I stood there, trying to make sense of everything he had just confessed. Money laundering, gambling rings, Jason, my husband, wrapped up in something criminal, and I had no idea. "But why didn't you tell me?" I asked, my voice trembling. "Why didn't you come to me? We're supposed to be partners, Jason. You should have trusted me." He looked away, unable to meet my gaze. "I didn't want to drag you into this. I didn't want you to know what I was really doing. I thought I could fix it without involving you. But now I see how wrong I was." I felt a wave of anger flood through me, sharp and hot. "And now? What do we do now, Jason? Are we just supposed to pretend everything's okay?" He ran his hand through his hair, looking defeated. "I don't know. I've tried to make it right, but it's gotten bigger than I ever imagined. Mark is in deep with people who don't take no for an answer. I've been stuck in this mess for so long, I don't know how to get out." "Have you ever thought about how this affects us?" I snapped. "What happens to our life if this all falls apart, Jason? What happens to me if you get caught?" Jason's eyes softened, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of regret, but it wasn't enough. Not after everything. "I'm sorry, Lucy. I never wanted to put you in this position, but now we have to face the consequences." I felt the walls closing in again, the weight of his words crushing my chest. My trust in him, everything we had built, felt like it was slipping through my fingers. Could I forgive him for this? Was there even a way to get past the lies, the secrets, the betrayal? "I don't know if I can trust you anymore, Jason," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "You've kept me in the dark for so long, Jason. How am I supposed to believe anything you say now?"
He looked at me, his face a mixture of guilt and desperation. "Lucy, please, I need you to believe me. I never wanted this." The words felt hollow. How could I believe him now? How could I look at the man I had married and not see the lies etched into every part of him? Jason's confession hit me like a ton of bricks. My mind was still racing, trying to understand the mess we were in. Money laundering? A criminal operation? How had I missed all of this? I didn't know what to say anymore. The anger I felt towards Jason was quickly replaced with a cold, sinking feeling of betrayal. Everything we had, everything I thought we shared, felt like a lie. I turned away from him, feeling the weight of the moment settle in. "I need some space, Jason," I said, my voice barely audible. "I need to think." His footsteps followed me, his hand reaching out. "Lucy, please, don't walk away from this. We can fix this together." I shook my head, my throat tight. "I don't know if we can." And with that, I walked out of the room, leaving him standing in the silence of his own regret. I left the apartment, the cold air hitting me like a shock to my system. The reality of Jason's confession settled over me, and I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. Was this the end for us? Could I even begin to trust him again? I pulled my jacket tighter around me, but the chill had nothing to do with the weather. It was the cold emptiness of what Jason had done to us that had frozen me to the bone. As I walked down the street, I saw a shadow lurking in the distance, a shadow I didn't recognize. It's not over yet. If you want to know what happens next in Lucy's journey, hit the subscribe button. You won't want to miss the next shocking twist. This story is far from finished.
He made me super wet when he pushed me into the water. It all happened so fast, I barely had time to process it before I was submerged. One moment, I was standing by the lake, trying to catch my breath and clear my head, and the next, I was in the freezing water, gasping for air. Jason's angry face was the last thing I saw before everything went black. I never thought it would come to this. I never thought Jason, the man I had loved, the man I married, could hurt me this way. But there I was, fighting to stay afloat, not just in the water, but in my own relationship. My heart pounded in my chest as I scrambled to grab onto the edge of the dock. My clothes clung to my body, cold and heavy, as the icy water surged around me. My mind raced. Why did he do this? But I didn't have the answer. All I could do was hold on to the edge, gasping for breath as the shock of the situation set in. Jason stood on the shore, watching me struggle, his face unreadable. "Jason!" I shouted, my voice hoarse, barely above a whisper. "What the hell is wrong with you?" He didn't move. He didn't even flinch. His gaze was cold, almost detached, like I was a stranger in front of him. For a moment, everything went still. The sound of my heart pounding in my chest, the rush of the water beneath me, it all faded into the background. All that was left was the raw emotions swirling inside me. Anger, betrayal, confusion. This wasn't just about what he had done to me in the past. This was about something much darker. I managed to pull myself out of the water, my teeth chattering from the cold. I looked up at Jason, still standing by the shore, his hands in his pockets, staring at me like he had no idea what was going on. His eyes were empty, distant. Was this really happening? I should have been furious. I should have yelled at him, screamed at him for what he had just done. But all I could do was stand there, drenched and shivering, feeling more lost than I had ever felt before. I had trusted him. I had trusted him. And this was what he had done to me. He had pushed me to the edge, literally and figuratively, and I didn't even recognize him anymore. "What do you want me to say, Lucy?" he asked, his voice almost cold, like he wasn't even speaking to the woman he married. "I didn't mean to hurt you, but you don't understand what's been going on. You don't know what I'm dealing with." I stared at him, speechless. What was he even talking about? How could anything justify what he had just done? His words cut deeper than the cold water ever could. "You've been lying to me, Jason, hiding things from me. What did you expect? For me to just sit back and pretend everything was okay?" He stepped closer, and for a moment I thought he might help me, pull me out of the freezing water, and apologize for everything. But no, he didn't. Instead, he reached out, his hand brushing my shoulder. It felt foreign, like a stranger's touch. "Let me explain," he said softly, but there was no sincerity in his voice, not anymore. I shook my head. "Explain what? Why you pushed me into the water? Why you've been hiding things from me? What's going on, Jason?" He looked away, the anger still flickering in his eyes. "I didn't want you to know, okay? I didn't want you to get involved in this mess. I was trying to protect you." "Protect me?" I repeated, my voice breaking. "By pushing me into the water? By lying to me? By hiding everything from me?" He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for things to get this bad." But his apology was empty. The words felt like they were just there to fill the silence, not to repair the damage he had done. I couldn't even look at him. My whole body was shaking, not just from the cold, but from the realization that I had been living in the dark, trusting someone who didn't deserve it. Jason took a step back, his face scrunched in frustration. "You don't get it, do you? This is bigger than both of us. You think I'm the bad guy here, but you don't know what's been going on behind the scenes." I stepped back, my chest tightening. The air felt thick around us, like the weight of everything that had been left unsaid was finally breaking through. "Then tell me, Jason, tell me what's going on, because I can't do this anymore. I can't keep pretending I don't know something is wrong." His eyes softened for just a moment, but it wasn't enough to make me feel any better. "I've been involved with people I shouldn't have been, people who don't take no for an answer. And when I tried to pull away, things got worse, much worse." I stared at him, unable to speak. He had just admitted that everything he had done, every lie, every secret, was because of some shady dealings he had gotten involved in. And now because of his mistakes, I'm paying the price. "Jason, this is bigger than you, bigger than me. This is about the choices you've made and the people you've let into our lives. You can't just keep blaming others. You've made these choices, and now I have to deal with the consequences." Jason clenched his fists, looking like he wanted to scream, but he didn't. Instead, he just looked at me, his face full of regret. "I never meant for you to get hurt. I never wanted any of this to happen." But his words felt hollow. They didn't undo the fact that I'm standing here, freezing, unable to trust him anymore. I had given him everything, and this was the price. "I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know if I can trust you after everything that's happened." Jason took a step forward, his expression desperate. "Please, Lucy, don't leave me. I can fix this. I can fix everything." But I'm not sure he could anymore. I'm not sure I could fix it either. All I knew was that nothing would ever be the same again. Standing there in the cold, watching the man I loved beg for my forgiveness, I realized something. I wasn't the same person I was when I first met him. I had changed. My trust had been broken, and nothing he could say or do would change that. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "I need time, Jason. I need space to figure out what I'm supposed to do with all of this." He nodded slowly, the reality of the situation sinking in. "I understand. I'll give you space. But please, just don't give up on us." It wasn't that simple. It couldn't be. Because when someone betrays you in ways you can't even begin to imagine, the damage is done. Trust is shattered, and no amount of time or space can repair it overnight. But I knew I had to make a decision. Was I ready to walk away, or was I going to give him another chance, even though everything inside me screamed that I shouldn't? I didn't know the answer,
Not yet. I turned and started walking away from him, the chill of the night air biting into my skin. Jason didn't try to stop me. He didn't even say a word. He just stood there, watching me walk away, and for the first time, I didn't look back. I reached the end of the dock, looking out at the lake, the water eerily calm under the dark sky. It was like the world was holding its breath, waiting for me to make a choice. I pulled my jacket tighter around me, but the cold wasn't just from the weather. It was the coldness between us, the distance that had opened, and I didn't know how to close. As I stood there, lost in my thoughts, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I fumbled for it, half expecting it to be Jason, but it wasn't. The number was unfamiliar. I hesitated before answering, a chill running down my spine. "Hello?" The voice on the other end was unfamiliar, but the message was clear. "Lucy, you need to know something. It's about Jason. There's more he hasn't told you. You won't believe what happens next. If you want to uncover the truth behind Jason's lies, hit that subscribe button now. Stay with us, because the next twist is just around the corner."
I never expected Mark to be on my side, but now I needed him more than ever. The voice on the other end of the phone had left me shaken, my hands trembling as I hung up. It was one thing to suspect Jason was hiding things from me, but it was another to hear that there was still more to uncover. More? What could possibly be left to learn? I looked at the phone in my hand, wondering if I should call back, ask more questions, or simply let it go. But I couldn't. Something inside me told me I was too close to the truth to turn back now. I couldn't do it alone. I needed answers, and I needed someone who could give them to me. That's when I thought of Mark. Mark. Jason's old friend? He had been there for years, always by his side. He had witnessed the shift in Jason, the way he had pulled away, the way he'd started hiding things. Mark had to know something. I called him, unsure of what to expect. Would he help me, or would he turn his back on me too? After 2 rings, Mark answered. His voice was hoarse, like he had been waiting for this call. "Lucy," he said, his tone unreadable. "What's going on?" "Mark, I don't know who else to turn to," I said, my voice trembling. "Jason's been hiding things from me. Big things. I don't know what to believe anymore." There was a long silence on the other end, but I could hear the tension in Mark's breath. I held my own, waiting for him to speak, knowing that whatever he said next would change everything. "Lucy," he finally said, his voice soft but filled with regret, "I should have said something sooner. I should have warned you." My heart raced. "Warned me? About what?" Mark sighed. "Lucy, Jason's been planning to leave you, Lucy. I'm sorry, but it's true. He's been involved with someone else for a while now, using you as a cover." I felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. My breath caught in my throat as I processed his words. "Someone else? What do you mean?" I asked, barely able to speak. "His business partner, Bethany. He's been seeing her for months. It started as a way to hide his gambling debts, but it turned into something more, something serious." I swallowed hard, trying to keep my composure. "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you say anything sooner?" Mark's voice faltered. "I didn't want to hurt you, Lucy, and I didn't know if Jason would ever come clean. But now I think you deserve the truth." I could feel my pulse quicken, a mix of anger and betrayal surging through me. "So all of this? Everything we've built? It's been a lie?" Mark didn't answer right away, and in the silence, I could hear the regret in his tone. "I'm sorry, Lucy. I should have stepped in, but Jason's got himself in too deep. And now you're caught in biddle." I stared at the floor, my mind spinning. Jason had been lying to me all this time. He had been planning to leave me,
and I hadn't seen it coming. I had no idea how deep his lies had gone. Mark's words hit me like a freight train. Everything I thought I knew, everything I thought was solid was now crumbling before me. Jason had been hiding things from me, using me as a cover. And for what? To protect his secrets? To cover up his mistakes? And I had no idea. I could feel my world spinning. I had spent years with Jason, trusting him with my heart and soul. I had believed in us, in our marriage, in the love we shared. But now it was all coming undone, piece by piece. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. Mark, I don't know what to do with all of this. What do I do now? Mark was silent for a moment before speaking again, his voice softer now. Lucy, you need to confront him. You need to ask him the hard questions. Jason's not going to come clean on his own. He never has. But you deserve the truth. You deserve to know what's really been going on. I could feel the weight of his words pressing down on me. The truth. It was the one thing I had been craving, the one thing I couldn't seem to find. Jason had been hiding things from me. Things that I couldn't even begin to imagine. And now I had to face them. What if I can't handle the truth? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. What if it's too much? Mark's voice was steady. You'll handle it, Lucy. You have to. You've been living in the dark for too long, and now it's time to bring everything to light. I didn't know if I could do it. Confronting Jason seemed impossible. What would I even say? How could I possibly face the man who had betrayed me, who had been living a life I didn't even recognize? But Mark was right. I couldn't live in this limbo anymore. I couldn't keep pretending like everything was fine when I knew it wasn't. I took a deep breath. Okay, I'll do it. I'll confront him. Mark's voice softened. I'm here for you, Lucy. Whatever happens, I'll be here. As I hung up the phone, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. It wasn't much, but it was something. The truth was within reach, and for the first time in days, I felt like I could finally breathe again. Before I could think too much about my next move, I felt the sudden urge to reach out to Mark again. His words, his warnings had stuck with me. But as I dialed his number, I wasn't prepared for what came next. Mark answered on the first ring. Lucy? I started, but my voice faltered. It was like the floodgates had opened. Mark, I don't know what to say. Everything feels like it's falling apart. I thought Jason was the man I knew. But now I don't know who he is anymore. Mark paused, and I could hear the weight of the conversation on the other end of the line. Lucy? I need to tell you something. I waited, unsure of what he was about to say. I've been in love with you, Lucy, for years. I've never said it because I didn't want to make things worse, but now I can't keep pretending. I care about you, more than you know. I was stunned into silence. Mark had always been a close friend, a comforting presence when things were tough, but love? He loved me? I didn't know how to process it. Jason's betrayal was already so much to handle, and now this? Mark, I don't know what to think right now. I'm just so lost. I'm here for you, Lucy. Whatever you decide, whatever happens, I'll be here. The words lingered in the air, and for a moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. As I ended the call, my heart was pounding. Mark's confession had opened a whole new chapter of confusion in my already tumultuous world. What did it all mean? Was I supposed to be angry? Relieved? Flattered? I didn't know. I stared at my phone screen, my mind racing with questions I couldn't answer. Jason, Mark, my marriage, everything was suddenly clouded by emotions I couldn't control. What was the right thing to do? Was I supposed to confront Jason now or give him more time? But time was running out. I turned and walked away from the window, the chill of the night creeping in. I had a decision to make, and the storm was just beginning. If you want to know what happens next in Lucy's journey, what decision she makes, and how it all unfolds, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss the next twist in this roller coaster of a story. Stay tuned, because things are about to get even more complicated.
I was finally ready to face him, but I didn't expect what happened next. The night sky was alive with color as the 4th of July fireworks lit up the Chicago skyline. I had always loved these moments, watching the lights explode across the sky, feeling the warmth of the crowd, the excitement in the air. But tonight was different. Tonight, it wasn't just the fireworks that were exploding. My life, everything I thought I knew, was about to be shattered in the same way. Jason stood in front of me, his expression unreadable, his hands stuffed in his pockets. It felt like we were in two different worlds. The bright lights from the fireworks reflected off his face, making it look like he was trapped in the same cold, empty space I felt inside. I had spent so many days running from this moment, avoiding the confrontation, making excuses, telling myself that maybe things would get better. But they hadn't, and I couldn't run anymore. Jason started, but his voice faltered. He looked at me, but I didn't see the man I married anymore. I saw someone I didn't recognize. I had spent hours, days, even weeks wondering what to do, what was best for me. But now, standing here in front of him, the answer was clear. This was it, the final confrontation, the point of no return. You lied to me, Jason, I said, my voice steady despite the hurricane of emotions swirling inside me. You lied about everything, about us, about your business, about Bethany, about Mark. You never gave me the truth, not once. Jason opened his mouth, but no words came out. He shifted uncomfortably, his eyes flickering between the fireworks in the sky and my face. I'm sorry, Lucy, he finally said, the words barely audible, as if he was ashamed to even speak them. Protect me? I scoffed, my anger flaring. You call pushing me into the lake, hiding your lies, and betraying me, protecting me? Jason flinched, as if my words physically hurt him. But he didn't respond. Instead, he took a step back, his face falling. I never wanted to hurt you, Lucy. I just didn't know how to fix it. I stepped closer to him, my voice cold and cutting. You never wanted to hurt me. Jason, you've already hurt me. You've broken me. And I don't know if I can ever forgive you for that. There was a long pause between us. The fireworks were still going off, but it felt like the world had stopped. The silence that followed my declaration. I know I've messed up, Jason said quietly, his voice full of regret. But I'm asking for another chance. I'll do whatever it takes to make things right, I swear. I felt a pang in my chest. Part of me wanted to believe him. The part of me that had once trusted him, the part that had held on to the hope that we could fix this. But that part of me was fading fast. The more he spoke, the more I realized that his words were empty. They were just that, words, and I needed more than that. You can't fix this, Jason, I said, my voice finally breaking. You've already broken me. You've already broken us. Jason looked at me, the weight of my words sinking in. I saw it in his eyes. He understood. He finally understood that no amount of apologies could undo the damage he had done. For a moment, everything went still. The fireworks had stopped, and the night seemed to hang in the air, heavy with the silence that followed my declaration. I stood there, staring at Jason, my heart pounding in my chest. What was I supposed to do now? How could I possibly move forward after everything?
Then, just as I thought I might break down, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, my hands shaking as I saw the unfamiliar number on the screen. I hesitated for a second before answering. Hello. The voice on the other end was unfamiliar, but the words that followed sent a chill down my spine. Lucy, you don't know the whole story. You think Jason is the only one who's been hiding things from you. But he's not. I froze, my heart racing. Who is this? I demanded, my voice sharp. The voice on the other end didn't answer right away. Instead, there was a pause, a slow, deliberate silence before they spoke again. You're about to find out the truth,